Talisha Searcy,
do swear
do swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
According to the Constitution and laws
Of this state
of this state
and the laws of the City of Takoma Park.
and the laws of the City of Takoma Park.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
I'm very grateful for an active ward and a lot of people who get out and vote and who get in touch with me and let me know what they think. That's really special. I've met so many wonderful people in doing this. That's one of the reasons to come back, is to continue to do that. But I want to thank the Ward 2 residents that did come out and vote and engage in the civic conversation. And I also feel that I must be doing something right. So I take a moment for myself to say, I think I'll continue the course. I feel like we set a lot of good policies, and now I'd like to see a little more work on implementing them, and I feel like I'd like to do that, yeah. I think there's something to be said for experience in a case like this, being able to hit the ground running, so to speak. And I'm really excited about the new council members. They do bring a lot of energy and a lot of can-do attitude. I think it's going to be a great run for the next 2 years. Well, one thing that's really important to me, as you know, is engaging all of our residents and bringing in a lot of voices that we haven't heard over the years. So that's kind of number one for me. I do feel pretty strongly about climate change and what the city and the residents can do to both mitigate our climate emissions here in the city and also to prepare for the inevitable within the city. And then last, not last really, more affordable housing is very important to me as an issue to continue to work on.
Shayna Vulture.
I've really enjoyed my work in the Girl Scouting community, which I've been doing for the last 10 years, and I am ready to use some of the leadership skills that I've learned and empowering others' ability that I've taken from Girl Scouting to help empower the rest of the community, not just the youth. Sort of similar to Casey, I'm really interested in trying to make sure that our streets are safer for pedestrians and bicyclists. I would say that that's a number one issue for me. I appreciate that Peter's been doing the office hours during the day. I want to make sure that I include some office hours that are after work hours so that I can make sure that those that aren't available during working hours are able to meet up. And then a lot of the residents of Ward 1 have said how much they've enjoyed his blog. And so I'm going to continue to have a blog just like he has. And then I'm looking forward to finding other ways of communicating. I know that Cindy does some office hour kind of things in parks and love going to the park, so maybe some of those as well. When I say office hours, yeah, many different days of the week, huh? See if I can accommodate as many people as possible and hear as many people's ideas as I can.
I state your name.
Randy Gibson,
Do swear
do swear,
or affirm, as the case may be,
or affirm as the case may be,
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States.
Constitution of the United States.
It was very competitive, and that is good because often the incumbents win time after time, but because several of the current incumbents decided to retire and 2 of them ran for mayor, so there were four out of 6 seats were open, and then a number of people jumped into the race, so it was very competitive. It was also, in my case, or in the case of Ward 3, it was a very civil, respectful campaign, but a lot of hard work, but some good people running. So that improved, I think, the electoral turnout. What got me involved and interested in running had to do with, I sense, a need for more leadership on environment and climate issues. So that was the first kind of motivator to be involved. I think we need to do more. Not that we're not doing something now, we are, but we need to do more. So I've been involved with the local climate action group, and we're focusing on stormwater issues, ecosystem conservation, etc. So that's one of the things that got me involved. The other was a concern about local businesses, and in particular, it's called the Junction. It's a hot button issue having to do with how to use that space around the co-op.
To the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of Councilmember Ward 5
I have lived in my neighborhood in Ward 5 for almost 20 years, and I thought it was time that I step up and I have this golden moment in my life. I'm not retired, but I don't have to send my 3 kids to college just yet. And honestly, I've been doing international development work for a really long time, and you can keep your eyes outward sometimes, and you look back and you see your own backyard and you say, there's a whole lot going on here that I care deeply about, and it's time that I step in and lean hard in and really focus on those issues. So I feel like there's a lot going on in our ward, and it really needs some good attention, and I felt like I was ready to do that job and had the right skill set. Well, I want to see my ward come together more. We are historically not as well represented, and so it sounds kind of loosey-goosey maybe, but we really need greater cohesion. We have almost no associations across the entire ward, so we need to start planting those seeds, rebuilding associations that used to exist, rebuilding channels of communication that don't really exist. We only have one listserv that stretches across about 200 people out of 2,700 people in our ward. We've got to have more modes of communication that touch more people across the ward. And then we're going to have to turn very hard and look at what's happening at the hospital site, which is more of a long-term thing, but there's movement. And also we've got a bunch of empty businesses across our ward, so that's something that we really need to bring attention to. And post-pandemic, as the poorest ward in our city, we have a lot of essential needs. So I am digging in right now trying to sort of figure out what is the array of things that the city can do to facilitate the movement of resources such as the direct cash assistance, the Chromebooks that the county is giving away, some of the other smaller scale efforts that NGOs are taking on to make sure that direct assistance is reaching those in need. And I want to figure out what I can do not only as a city council member, but also as a strong advocate for bringing all of those different services together. I will say I went to a ribbon cutting for multiple businesses, over on Saturday. It was my first job pre-council job, and it was really quite interesting. And I had the chance to talk to all the other members of staff and other council members or council members to be, and I said, were there no businesses in Ward 5 that could be highlighted today? And one didn't call back, I think, or wasn't available that day, and there was one that had not occurred yet to them to put on the radar because it was a little bit, I won't mention which one it was. It wasn't a standard fare business. And so, yeah, I think that's what matters is we really just have to keep, paying attention to what's there. We don't have as many businesses as some of the other wards either, so that makes it easier to not realize that we're being fully represented. And we have some empty ones that need filling. We definitely have businesses, and they are very important businesses for all of my city to know, and really fabulous businesses. So come visit us.
And I just want to thank from the bottom of my heart each and every single one of you for all of the work and the partnership over the last few years. It's been wonderful.
So the things that I remember from being on the council is, really working with members of the community and the city staff. As I said this evening during my comments, we have by far the best staff around, and it has really been a privilege working with everyone here in the city. And I think that's the thing I've enjoyed the most, is really getting to know my colleagues on the council, the city staff, and just the more of the people who live in our community. One of the things that when I was elected mayor in 2015, I really wanted to bring to the council was a focus on housing. And I'm very proud of the work that we've done on housing, as well as when we had to hire a new police chief and the process we had to do that. And now that we have Chief Duvall here and the work that he's doing in the community. And even looking at, in our rec department, when we wanted to shift things around a little bit under the leadership of our recreation director and started the youth council. Looking back over the last 7 or 8 years, there's so many things that as a community we came together to put in place that I'm very proud of. There's always things that I wish we could have done more of. We started working, and there are members of the community working on things like participatory budgeting, and we have our open space plan that the next council is going to take up. But I'm just really excited for this next council to see what they do. On the county council, I want to continue the work on housing, because it's not just an issue here in Takoma Park. It's an issue in our county. It's an issue in our region, really. So I think bringing that in my experience here, and also public safety. Looking at how we do policing in the county, I think it's very important to bring some of the lessons learned that we have here in Takoma Park to the county. And I hope to also bring, the energy and the collaboration that we had here on this council to the county council.
I decided to run for mayor because I believe in this city, but more importantly, I feel like we're on this brink of so many new opportunities, and I really wanted to be an active person at the helm during these opportunities where we can bring things forward. Our new library renovation, all of the good work that we're doing with our ARPA dollars, direct cash assistance programs, and the like. I think we just are really at this point where we can really transform our community, and I wanted to be at the forefront of that change. I think the big thing, we heard a little bit of public comments today, is about the budget. We have, as a nation, there's so much happening in terms of inflation, and the cost of living for so many people are bouncing around right now, and it's really important for us to make sure that we're managing our resources effectively and efficiently. So I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that we're going to have to do straight out the gate with this new council. Other things include our library renovation and making sure that we're managing the ongoing programs that are happening as part of our ARPA funds, that we're doing that effectively is also going to be critically important. This is what Ranked Choice was built for, to create opportunities not only for voters to have choice, but also to create opportunities for so many people to run for office. I am still in awe at the fact of the diversity of the candidates that we had. We had young people, we had people of all races and ethnicities, and it was just such a beautiful thing to see so many people, with immigrants, so many people who want to be a part of the political process in the city of Takoma Park, and we created that opportunity for them to do it. So I'm very happy, I'm very pleased with the turnout, but more importantly, I'm so appreciative of all of the different candidates that came out and ran for office.
Constitution and laws thereof.
And support the Constitution and laws thereof.
And that I will,
to
the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of mayor, according to the Constitution and laws of this state, and the laws of the city of Takoma Park. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Here.
Today is the National Drug Take-Back Day in conjunction with the Drug Enforcement Agency. This is like the 20th event since 2012. They do 2 a year, running from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we take back all that unused medication, ointments, liquids and sealed bottles, stuff that is usually outdated or, is no longer used, and we have it incinerated, which is the best way to get rid of this type of medication. You don't want that medication, especially the narcotics and some other the pills, getting into the hands of people that are young, may abuse them. So we'd like to get rid of them through incineration than trying to get into the wrong hands of people, making them sick or possibly even cause death.
We don't want you throwing them in the toilet or contaminating the waterways around here. And by bringing them to us and having us destroy them with DEA, makes a whole better deal for the environment and for us.
We take just about everything, nothing with batteries in it. So if you have e-cigarettes, if you take out the battery, we'll dispose of that. We'll take liquids in sealed containers as long as they don't leak. We don't take any sharp, no razors, no needles, nothing sharp. But for the most part, we'll take all the pills, medication, ointments.
We don't require any information at all. Just drive up, drop it off. We also have a box in the station. Station's open 24/7, and you can come in and drop off your drugs anytime, no questions asked. It's going to be burned up when we take it up to DEA, so if the bottles have information on it, no one will ever see it.
You can leave the stuff in your bottles. We use dark colored bags, and it goes either into the bag here, gets tied up, and goes into our secure area until we dispose of it, or it goes, you can dump it into our green box here in the lobby of the police station, which is open 24/7. Again, it goes into a green bag. I just seal it up, take it in the back, double bag it in dark colored bags, and it goes right to the incinerator when we drop it off.
When I was a kid, I always loved to read. I was a super shy kid, right? So I would, it was much more comfortable for me to be lost in the pages of a good book than talking to people. So that's kind of like my retreat from the world. And as I tell a lot of students, it's ironic that that safe space that I spent so much time in, falling in love with books and falling in love with the idea of the imagination and the power of books kind of eventually led me to want to write my own stories. And so ironically, the books which had been my retreat from the world became my way back into the world, which is such a beautiful thing to get to do, because I get to connect with young readers and just talk to kids about the power of a good book, and it's really living the dream, which for me is really special. The best impact I can imagine is for a child to get inspired by reading a book that I helped work on, and for that inspiration to lead them to want to write their own stories or share their own stories, so that it's kind of like a chain reaction of reading, so that someday if I'm up and seeing an author talking about their books, and if they had read my book when they were younger, that would be the dream. And I've talked to lots of kids when I go to schools, and sometimes they'll say, I saw myself or my family in your book, and that means so much. And there was this one student, or a teacher, sent me a message from her second grader who said they read Drawn Together, which is about an Asian American family. And this quiet second grader in her class said, or she raised her hand and said, I have 3 things to say about this book. 1, my family's Vietnamese. 2, my grandfather doesn't speak Vietnamese or doesn't speak English either. And 3, that book is my life. And then from that point, she starts to share with her students about herself and her family. So the fact that this book, which is about 2 characters who are trying to communicate or struggle to communicate, inspired this quiet girl to then share her own story with her classmates means the world to me, because I was that quiet second grader, right? I was the one in class who didn't want to talk or didn't know how to share his own story. So that kind of idea of a book propelling other stories into the world is the kind of impact that I hope to have. Today I was able to share The Blur, which is my latest picture book, with the community, but what made it really special is that we live in Takoma Park for a long time. We moved in 2019, and our kind of going away party was a book event sharing the book that published that year, and we had everyone come out, and then the next day my wife and kids flew off to San Diego while I kind of finished things up. So when we were finally able to come back, it only felt fitting to have another book event as almost like a welcome home party. So it felt like a homecoming for us, and to be able to share this new book with old friends and new friends was just a special event for me and my family, and hopefully for the audience too. I have 6 or 7 books coming out in the next couple of years. I had written a Green Lantern graphic novel for DC Comics a couple of years ago, and the sequel for that is coming out in November. So that's should be a fun book for older kids, but a fun read hopefully.
So we're at the opening reception for the Unsung Heroes art exhibition. It's artwork by local artist Renee Lockman, and she wanted to feature sort of unrecognized city employees for the work that they've done, including sanitation workers, folks in the library, crossing guards, a lot of people who did a lot of very important work during the pandemic but weren't necessarily recognized for the work they did.
This is about unsung heroes or city workers who are sort of like forgotten or really not noticed as much as doctors and fire people. You know, when COVID started, there was a lot of articles about the doctors and nurses, deservedly so. But these were also working during COVID and still working, and really I felt like they didn't get much recognition. So I decided that I wanted to do stories based on what I saw them doing, and they were very heroic to me. So the paintings are done with using acrylic paint. It's like a plastic polymer that dries very quickly. It's very forgiving. And over here we have charcoal drawings of portraits of people who have participated in this show. So a combination of librarians, but mainly people who are sanitation workers. I think one of the most favorite ones over here is a painting based in the library by one of the people. Her name is Wanda, who is shelving books. And we took photos in the children's room of Takoma Park Library. And it was a little intricate because there were tons and tons of books that I put in there, but I decided to make the words come alive by her looking at a book, and some of the, there's a hummingbird that sort of comes off the page. And I like that idea of a fantasy. But in general, I just love the drawing. I think I'm more of a draftsman than a painter.
I think it's a very public-spirited project that she chose to honor people that we don't usually think of as heroes, city employees, people who work for the better of others. It's we don't often think of them as heroes, but they come to work and they want good things to happen to other people, and they often stay late or they go beyond the expected work day to make sure that things work out well. So this was an idea she had, and she was asking for people in different city departments to represent the department. So I chose to help to represent the library. I'm proud of what our library does for the city, and I'm really proud of the other city departments who often have very high quality work, including City TV, which just won an award for the quality of their work.
Well, I think with the sanitation guys, I was working over at Public Works, and I had a chance to see how much work they actually did. I was working there working on a mural, but I woke up early some mornings and I saw them out there just like, picking up old furniture and the trash, recycling, and just seeing them running like full force with all this energy. And at the same time, the Olympics was going on. And I thought, wow, these guys have to be as fit and as, strong as these Olympians. And so that's why I thought they were unrecognized. And also, they were working throughout the COVID. And I just didn't feel like they had enough recognition.
When we had recognition of the women employees, we met outside, and she asked for volunteers, and there wasn't a lot of response to that. I think there was scurrying of people trying not to get their picture taken or whatever. So I went up to her and said, well, if you need people, I would do whatever it was they were doing. And she said, I think I'm going to need you. And then she sort of came and saw what I did and picked out how she wanted to, what I would be doing in her painting. This is pretty amazing. I mean, some of the portraits, there's a lot of people that I don't know. I mean, I have such an odd job. Most of the hours I work is before the library's open. So I don't know a lot of the city employees and the people that, work and play here. But, for her to do this and to recognize, to see these faces, it's just been amazing. It's just beautiful, beautiful artwork.
I participated in a number of art shows. This has probably gotten the most publicity that I've ever had, even though I've gotten good results as some of my paintings. And it's really nice that a lot of people in my neighborhood came out to see the show, and some art friends, and so I think it's great.
We can never have too much recognition of people's contributions. And so whenever anybody has an idea like this, we should all get on board, because it builds a stronger community.
It's funny to work in a small municipal, organization like this, to work for the city. But I think we're really special here. The people, I think, care a little more about each other, and the people that work here really want the best for everybody. I think that's very cool.
I wanted to thank the Public Works Director, Daryl Brickworth, and I want to thank Brandon Smith for either letting me use this space at Public Works, and Brendan for giving me a grant in order to complete this show.